Hello, welcome to the Cables, Lace, and Tails podcast. My name is Sue, and I am a maker from northwestern Wisconsin. Hello, on this dreary fall day, it started to rain, and we need it so badly. Oh, my dog is trying to get into a spot that I keep making smaller because it has a lamp over there, but she insists upon being there. Anyway, how's it going? Pretty good here. I have worked on the same things as I did last week, and I got a little bit further in all of my dishcloths and my Upcycle Alpaca cardigan and the vegetable patch cardigan. I did work the football game last week, and I was exhausted afterwards. I had a nice weekend, and I made some more delicious apple hand pies and relaxed a little bit. I did get quite a few dishcloths done. Now, I have an app on my phone, like I mentioned last week. I wrote down the information on a post-it. So I say I need 65 to 70. I don't think I'll get to 75. That's a pipe dream. I have 34. I need to make 31 or 36. And then in September I made 20. And so far in October I've made 14. And then I have the day's date, which I change. I love changing numbers. It makes me happy. I have a new outlook on making dishcloths. Yes, I have been doing the same pattern over and over. Yes, it's boring, but I am doing two things. One, I'm teaching myself how to continental knit. I don't mind purling, and I don't think I would teach myself to continental purl because I enjoy purling, and I actually purl faster than I knit. It just is. I cannot look away when I'm doing continental knitting as I can with traditional English knitting that I learned, because I don't know why. I can't look away from my crocheting either, so it must be something of that nature. Anyway, so plugging along. I want to get this done so I can do other things, work on other stuff, yada, yada, yada. And then sometimes you ask the universe, whatever. You ask, I need to figure this out. What, why, when, how, and it doesn't matter what the topic is. Like I want to know about how to grow garlic. And maybe you say it out loud and maybe your phone is listening. Who knows? I have theories. But so I was thinking to myself, maybe I said out loud, like, learning how to continental knit. What is it doing for my brain? Or maybe I saw something, read something, heard something, and it clicked something that I remembered about my own learning how to knit and how it made my brain feel. Now, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it before, and if I have, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but I'm going to repeat myself. In 1994, I was riding home from work on my bicycle. I was thinking of breaking up with the boyfriend I was with at the time because, well, he sucked. And 1994, this is a long, long time ago. And so I was riding home and I was looking down at my legs. I did not wear a helmet at that time because it was 1994 and helmets weren't really, it just wasn't, like I never wore a helmet learning how to ride a bike. So I wasn't wearing a helmet. I wasn't paying attention. I was going right along, like if cars were parked on this road, and it wasn't a very busy road that I was on, I would be going just a little bit away from them so I wouldn't like run into them, but I was quite close to, say, a parked car. So I was riding, not looking, and there was an industrial size pickup truck, like think a landscaping big flatbed truck, where they, have all their equipment, and it's much wider than a regular pickup truck. And I hit my head. I never stopped talking, I guess, which is kind of funny. The man whose truck it was, I don't know if it was his own, or if he was working for a company, or what, but I do remember his name. His name was Todd. He held me down because I kept trying to get away. I kept saying, I'm fine, I want to go home. And he was like, no, you can't go home. And, the ambulance came and whatever. But he was really kind. He came to the hospital. He gave me a flower. I told him it wasn't his fault because, I looked horrible. And it wasn't his fault. That's another story for another time. Anyway, so I ended up being in the hospital for 5 days. It was quite a severe head injury. I lost the ability to do math in my head, and I still am not able to read music. I have trained my brain to do math again. For example, working as a cocktail waitress, you needed to know the prices of everything, how much it was, and you had to give the exact change to the bartender at this place I worked at. So that really helped me a lot. So I would write down everything, because I could write down a math problem and figure it out, but I couldn't, if you said like, what's 2 plus 2, I'd be like, couldn't even think of like how it would, like 2 apples and 2 apples, 4 apples, but I couldn't. So training my brain how to do math when I was nursing my child when she was a wee babe, I would keep myself awake by doing long division. That was fun. And it made me like reconnect my brain, because I hit here, which is frontal lobe, plus on the left side. It has a lot of stuff. So, and I'm still healing. I believe that it takes extremely a long time, especially if you don't exercise your brain. And that's important too. So when I learned how to knit when I was 45, I felt like the neurons, or all these different connections, especially on this side of my brain. And it just like made me so happy. Just like I'm figuring things out. I'm learning stuff. It makes sense. And it's that joy of learning that I have in myself that propels me forward. So then, I've been teaching myself how to knit for the past, how old am I? 9 years. And I'm intermediate. I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. I still want to learn new things. So when I started learning how to continental stitch, oh gosh, when did I do that? I don't know. It's been at least 3 years, and I don't do it all the time. Like, I never did it for this sweater. I'll talk about this in a second. I never did it with this sweater or any of my other garments, because I roll out so bad. Like, you can see it here. You can see the big holes right here. And I mean, it's not even, but it's a dishcloth, and I'm learning. So last week, or the week before, I was on my YouTube, as one does, and I saw this channel called Snapdragon Life, and it had 2 titles, the title on the thumbnail and the title in the description. So the title on the thumbnail is What Women Knitting Were Really Doing. And then the title in the description is Your Brain Changes When You Make Things. And I was like, totally. So I watched it. It's really good. If you get a chance, just peruse it. I'm not associated or, you know, affiliated or not sponsored by any means, but it was a really good discussion. It's about 15 minutes long or so. So she stated with, and then there is, what do you call it? Her sources are listed in the description. So one of the statements she said is that using two hands especially helps the brain. And I thought, well, yeah, because you're using both sides and, you know, the neurons and whatever is connecting, and you're doing your stuff. So like knitting, even, I mean, some people crochet differently. I think I have a ladybug in the house. How do I do it? I don't hold my fingers up. I can't. It just, it's not, nothing is even. I hold my stuff quite low. So then another statement she said is that by knitting or doing other types of crafts and using both hands at them, and you know, she even linked like making bread or anything that you're using both hands for a creative purpose, because some people make gorgeous loaves of bread or pies or, you know, cakes, etc. That action, that, what am I saying? Anyway, I'm going to just read what I wrote down. That action may reduce between 30 and 50% in dementia and Alzheimer's effects, saying that if you continually to exercise your brain by doing the things that bring you joy, so to speak, because not everyone wants to make bread, but maybe someone really enjoys making pottery. That alone can just exercise your brain enough and help just create different neuron passages and heal maybe damaged parts of your brain from whatever reason, like a stroke or a head injury or you name it. Okay, so I am going to tell a grandma story, two grandma stories. So the first grandma story is my crocheting grandma, and she was, you know, a prolific crocheter. She didn't really like to knit, but she loved to crochet. And then they didn't have ergonomic, they just started to, at the end of her crocheting time period, have ergonomic crochet hooks. And I have it. It's in my collection that she gave me. And it sucks. One, it's a Susan Bates, and she did not like Susan Bates crochet hooks. She liked Boy. And so she didn't like the way it grabbed the yarn. Plus, it was, I think, a plastic handle versus like silicone, which back in the 80s, I don't think they had much silicone. Anyway, so she, and I experienced this too with crocheting with regular crochet hooks. Your hand gets tired. Your hand gets crampy, especially if you're not stretching or doing other things with your hand. If you're just like crocheting all the time, it's going to get sore. I mean, simple little things help you out. But I mean, we didn't even drink water back then. I mean, very little. Like in my family, we drank coffee, a lot of coffee. So when she had issues with her hands and wrists, she thought she had carpal tunnel syndrome, and that was all the rage at that time. And it was in the early 90s, I think she had her, either early or mid 90s, she had her carpal tunnel surgery, and then she couldn't crochet anymore. She couldn't hold the hook. It just was sloppy. She was so mad, so sad. And because she did not, because she didn't, you know, try different ways, she just kind of gave up. And, you know, we all have our own reasons for that. You know, Maybe it was just too hard and she was just so devastated. She just did not do it anymore. Personally, I'm really stubborn, but I can see where you can just give up. So she stopped crocheting, and you could see a definite decline. It was real gradual. I mean, she was 80 years old and she was still pretty with it, but you could see it kind of going down. And she did live for another, how old was she? At least another decade. So I thought to myself, I wonder if, and when I got my ergonomic crochet hooks, which are right over here, I have a variety of sets, and you can get them from Amazon or anywhere. When I got these, the feeling I got from crocheting with this versus a regular crochet hook was immense. My hands didn't hurt as much. You know, it was just really nice. Ergonomic is a good thing. So I noticed her decline of, she had dementia. I saw her decline slowly but consistently. I mean, it can happen to anybody, especially they don't really know all the things. And sometimes I see stuff pop up on my Instagram or Facebook or whatever feeds, and they're like, oh, Alzheimer's is an autoimmune disease, or this is the reason why you have it. Who knows at this moment in time? It's still being figured out. But my other grandma, she was my knitting grandma. She made all of my uncles, and then there's all boys and then one girl. So she made all of my uncles a cardigan. I actually got the pattern from Mary's, what is it called? Mary Maxim's. I found the pattern one day and I bought it because I just thought, ooh, I remember this. So she made everybody these sweaters. I'm going to look for it here. And there was different styles, but this was my dad's because he was a pheasant hunter. I don't know if it's still on their site, but I got a really good deal when I bought this pattern. It was like a couple dollars. So she made all of that, and she made all of the grandkids stuff. She didn't make me anything at that time, and I was really, really sad. She bought me a lot of clothes because she was like, you're 12. You're 12 and you're growing so much, and she didn't want to make a sweater that I would grow out of right away. And I understand that reasoning, but she should have realized I would have kept it forever and cherished it always. So she made us all stockings, and she made those sweaters, etc. And then after that, she was so done with knitting, she said. She was just done. She didn't want to do it anymore. And now I'm pretty sure she did, but not at that extent. And I wonder, because I wasn't with her as much in her later years, unfortunately, due to some stuff that I'm not ready to talk about. So she did teach some of my cousins how to knit, so she was still doing maybe a little bit, but not to that extent. And maybe she just didn't do it enough, and maybe she had small strokes. She did have Alzheimer's, and I just thought, after watching the Snapdragon Life video, dishcloths have become a lot more interesting. So I just make it back and forth. I'm seeing this as not only as not a chore, but as a way to give a gift to somebody, as well as a gift for my own brain. And doing this kind of activity, this kind of creative outlet, also soothes your mind when it's troubled with crap that comes at you or you create. And, you know, I just find this, I'm really glad I taught myself how to knit. And I think about my grandmas all the time when I'm creating something or making food, because both of them were excellent bakers. And I wish they were here today. So now, okay, I think I got all of that. Wait. All right, cool. Now, this is my Dolce, Barocco Dolce V-neck drop shoulder cardigan. I wore this for the first time today to work. I did not put buttons on because I didn't want buttons on this ethereal yarn. It is so soft. One coworker that wants to be a cat just like me, I went up to her and I said, "Do you want to feel a cat's belly?" And then she felt, and she's like, but then I made her feel my sweater and she's like, "Oh, that does feel like a cat's belly." And I said, "Yeah, it's brush alpaca." Anyway, lovely sweater, lovely to wear. Kind of sad that Barocco discontinued this yarn line. So I made it in pieces. As you see, I did bottom up. I used it's right here. I have to find it. It's right here. I used this book, my Ann Bud's sweater pattern book. I know I did a size 42 stitch count and a size 40 for the length of my pieces. And I wore this outside. I've been wearing my woolly sweaters to work. The last week, it's gotten real kind of chilly and the wind really whips on that playground. And I'm just out there and I'm just really comfortable. Not hot, not cold, just right. It is so nice. And I like how I did the sleeves a little bit loose, but not as loose as my other cardigan. So hopefully it won't like catch odd objects. Like one day I almost knocked over a whole pencil marker caddy because it got caught. My other sweater got caught on that caddy. So in the library, I work at a school, I work in the library. Now, I can't remember when I started this, but it was a pleasure to work on. I loved making this sweater. The color is in the color jade. As you can see, it has like a nice stripy, I don't want to say motif. It is natural striping yarn. It was a pleasure to sew with. I enjoyed it so much. The button band looks pretty good when I picked up. I just love the sweater. I love it so much, and I hope it lasts me forever and then I can pass it down. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Like, oh, my great grandma. I'm not saying my daughter has to have kids, but I'm just saying, oh, my great blah, 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 my great aunt, my great grandma, whoever. So, yes, I finished this not too long ago. And then it was too hot, you know, because working on this sweater on those hot, hot days was pretty, it wasn't fun because the yarn is so soft and it would just kind of like stick to your sweaty hands. So I would work on it when it was cooler. And when I was finished with it, I just kind of tucked it away. So my cat, Tallulah, who's right over there, would not destroy it. Now, very happy. The other two things I worked on, besides my dishcloths, were the vegetable patch cardigan by Anni Howard. And I just got a little bit further along. It looks like I've done 2 repeats. This line, this little white line, is to denote the armhole. So I have to do another section. I don't know. I'm estimating too big. I have to do like another 9 to 10 inches of this pattern, which is a lovely pattern. And this you want to work on when it's chilly in the house. I usually keep my house relatively cool, even in the winter. In the summer, we don't have that great of AC, so we're, we're stuck with what we got. But in the past weekend when I was working on this, it was cool enough where I kind of used it as a blanket on my lap. So lovely. It is a very easy pattern to remember. It is a very fun pattern. It gives your hands lots of back and forth. You're purling, you're knitting, you're doing a cable pattern only on one row, and it's an 8-row repeat. And it's just beautiful. I'm going to hold it up one more time. The yarn I'm using is Wool of the Andes, which is a Peruvian Highland wool. It's very soft. And then it is in the colorway Shire Heather, and it has a lot of different hues in it because of the heathering. But it's just being on camera, I've noticed when I watch my own video just to see how it is, it doesn't do it justice. This is such a deep and rich dark forest moss with all kinds of gold and blue flecks, and it is just gorgeous. Will this be a deep winter wear? Oh, heck yeah, because it is thick. It is super thick. I am using my Knitter's Pride Zing needles. They are a blunt tip. I wouldn't use these needles on a regular, really intricate cable pattern because you need something sharp to pick up stitches. But this is a simple cable pattern and it's working out just fine. So just moving along. I will be picking up more ticket shifts next month, at the end of this month, next month, and then, the winter season. So we'll see how I get. I am trying to do so much right now. And sometimes just knitting a dishcloth to get down my tallies makes me happy. Or also working on my sleeve for my Upcycle Alpaca set in sleeve cardigan using the same book, but this is going to be a crew neck, and I have done a 1x1 rib at the bottom, and then right now I'm just increasing the sleeve. And I mentioned last week that I wasn't paying attention when I started doing my increases. So on my second sleeve, I'm just going to leave all the pins on this one. And then on my second sleeve, I will match what I did. And so, yep, it's going pretty good. Pretty good now. I have, how many? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 6 more increases to do. And then it's just knit to a certain spot and then do the sleeve cap, which really seems to, once I get to that sleeve cap area, it goes really fast. I'm using my Knit Picks Reflections, size 4. I love these needles. I used to be an affiliate member with Knit Picks, but I am no longer an affiliate member with Knit Picks, but I would still recommend these. I enjoy them. The tips are just pointy enough. They are smooth when I'm knitting. And I like the cords. I bought a interchangeable needle bundle. So I got the shorties, the regulars, and the lace set for a discounted price. And then there was also another discount. So I was like, I'm investing in my craft, I'm investing myself, and I like having the tools that I like to use for my projects. Like, I remember when my knitting groups were going on, and I thought when I first started learning how to knit, I was always going to knit on straight needles, no matter what. I just get longer ones and make the sweater. And then one of the older and wiser ladies, what was her name? Can't remember her name. Barbara. It wasn't Barbara, but anyway, doesn't matter. She's like, you won't want that. And then some other lady, she showed up and she was knitting a really heavy yarn. I think she was knitting like a shawl, or maybe it was a part of a sweater, and she was using a straight needle, and it was too small for all the stitches she had, and it was all bunched up and it was hurting her wrist. And I thought, you know, she's pretty smart. I'm gonna, was it Rose? Anyway, I am going to use circular needles, and I haven't looked back. Circular needles rock, especially when you have heavy yarn. You can lay it in your lap and you can just knit, knit, knit. I have not learned how to magic loop yet. Kind of would like to learn how to do that, but at this moment in time, I have enough on my plate. And I like using DPNs for socks and whatnot. So I'm just plugging away. Nothing really exciting. This is a mixture of alpaca, wool, and acrylic. It's a sport weight size. The last time I looked, which was a while ago, they only had the worsted weight. I don't plan on buying any yarn until they have their big $2, $4, and $6 sale, if they have it again this year. That happens in the beginning of November, and it is awesome. You can get some yarn that you really want, have been wanting, or really need, or whatever, for a very economical price. I have gotten a lot of wool of the Andes for $2 a skein, and that is awesome. So yesterday I got my hair cut by my cousin. It was a lovely time. But you know, when you're running around and you get home and I finished a dishcloth, I was like, yay. And you know, I'm always dreaming of like, ooh, I want to work on other things. Maybe I should just cast on. And then I say, hey, you have a lot of stuff just waiting to be worked on, but you're focusing on your dishcloths. And I bought Sari Nordland's Summer Knits book a little while ago, and I have some things marked for what I want to do. And then I went through it again just recently, and I realized I have a lot of DK yarn, which a lot of patterns in here require DK yarn, and I'm like, hot diggity dog. So was it last year? Within the last year, I bought this book, Knit Like a Latvian. I actually got two. The other one's up here. I got both of them because I wanted the patterns. I mean, when you look at the patterns, they're gorgeous, beautiful mittens. One of them has gloves in it too. I think the other one has gloves. So, I mean, I just love this stuff. I'm going to just show a picture here. I mean, they are gorgeous. So, according to this author, you shouldn't use magic loop. Now, I've seen other knitters, Knitting by Florence, I think is her channel name. She uses magic loop, and she does Latvian mittens. So I think, you know, to each their own. But I do like DPNs. So I was going through this, and I was working last Friday. It wasn't as cold as they said it was going to be. And I did bring my I crocheted these a long time ago. And what I did was, how did I do it? I measured across around my hand, okay? And then I crocheted a chain, and I measured that, and then I connected the crochet. I connected it, and then I used a half double stitch, and then when I got to the thumb area, I just skipped those stitches and knitted a chain, and then connected it again, and then voila. Okay, super simple. Did not look at a pattern. This is just acrylic yarn that I had left over from something else, and I mean, they're nice, but at the game I noticed they are wearing out here, and it was like Monty was getting, it just felt awkward, you know. I like to be, it was just feeling very awkward. I'm like, well, they probably could, you know, I could probably wash them, put them in the dryer, and they would shrink up a bit because it's acrylic, and acrylic grows. And then I was like, how cool would it be to have a pair of color work fingerless mitts? Ooh. And then in my other book, I'm going to just grab it. They also have fingerless gloves as well. This is the other book. And it just was like, I'm just like looking at these pictures last night, and I'm just drooling over. I'm just looking for like a group of them. I'm just drooling over these delicious, I don't want to show too much. These delicious, I'll just hold this up. It's just easier. Look at all these beautiful mitts. So I was like, well, it does no harm to look or pick stuff out. And I have a lot of yarn because I went through my thing, and I was like, well, I have perfect 2-ply yarn. I'm gonna, let's see, how can I do this? I have perfect 2-ply yarn. And I'm thinking about making those. Will I do the same colorway? I do have a black and a white. Or will I use different colors? I'm not 100% sure. But it seems pretty straightforward. And it's just, you know, fingerless gloves or mittens. And then there's just so many beautiful patterns. So many. I mean, I love these traditional colors. Look at those gorgeous orange ones. There you go. Look at them. They're just beautiful. Anyway, so, I mean, there's ones with flowers. So, I was daydreaming about that. Daydreaming about maybe making some of the patterns in this book. I got this book. I got these from Amazon. And I got this one from Wool & Company. And I really like buying books from Wool & Company. They have good customer service. They're very easy to work with. And they're located in Chicago area. And that's relatively close to home. So, now, that is about it. Not much has been going on. Things are looking up more and more. Learning how to move on from past mistakes and do things better. And let's see, Tallulah's paw is healing very well. I mentioned last week she probably got stung by a hornet, and upon inspection this morning, it looks a lot better. She still is favoring it, but it is really healing well. And I don't know what else to say except for thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. It is my hope to do more of my crafts when I have the moments in time. And I'm not going to be too hard on myself if all I'm doing is increasing my brain activity in knitting dishcloths. So every bit counts. Every little thing counts. And I will state one more thing. I said this to a friend of mine, and she said I should mention it in my podcast. In the past, when I had made a mistake, an egregious mistake like I just recently did, I would hold on to that forever. Yeah, forever. I mean, I've made mistakes even as a kid, and I think about them now, and I'm like, oh. So, but working with my hands, making knitting things, it just it's helped me heal so much. And you know, everyone's saying that, oh, back to basics or back to the way grandma used to do stuff. Well, we didn't have, growing up in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have computers. We didn't. We didn't, like, I mean, some people did order clothes via the phone, but you, like, even on the TV, if you wanted something, they would give you a 1-800 number, and then you would call that 1-800 number and order it. Yes, there was like the Sears catalog, and you could buy things out of a catalog and send them the invoice and what you wanted, and that worked for a long time. But nowadays, you just a couple clicks, and you got the book. I don't have Prime, but if you had Prime on Amazon, this would arrived in 2 days. But that slow way of living, I'm not saying it was better or worse, but by practicing things that take a little bit of time to make, helps heal your brain. I'm not saying that right, but you get what I'm saying, I hope. Anyway, have a good day. I feel like it's like I will say it is a beautiful gray day. I love gray days. It was chilly, and you could smell the rain coming. I love those days. And so I better get off here pretty soon so I can go pick up my daughter and go buy some milk. Because I am out. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. And I hope you keep on coming back, even if this is a tad boring at this moment. Maybe you're finding more entertainment from it than I feel at this present moment of recording, because I haven't had that many things that I've been working on. I keep telling myself, you need to finish your Sailor Swift top. You need to finish the cable sweater for your daughter. And then there's the other cardigan that I'm working on, and I would like to make more. So I better get to it. Thanks again for stopping by. Take care. Have fun. Bye for now.